Okay, hi. So I'm working on a slightly tilted surface today. Uh, just it makes a difference in the way you paint. And what I like is I like a surface that's tilted a lot, like 45 degree angle is nice because it encourages those little dark drips at the bottom of whatever you're doing, and I think that that really has a good look, and you can start playing with your drips, and it's fun. But that's not what I'm doing because I can't really set up. It won't show up on the camera well because this is the setup I've got. So what I'm going to do is I start with some sky, and what I've got here is I've got cerulean, and I have picked cerulean because it's not a bright blue that screams at you. It's much softer. It's got a lot of opacity. It's a granulating color, which makes it a little easier to control. It's very user friendly in most, although not all situations. Okay, so it looks, I've got it about like this. I think that'll work. I'm going to dampen a spot here on this side of the head, because what I'm doing is I'm going to paint this side separately from this side. I have a small brush primed and ready to help me get around the features here. Maybe I'll do that part first. Let's see. Yeah, and this is about the strength of paint that I wanted. I want to talk to you about those lips before you trace this. Have to remember to do that. Okay, so now I've got color here, and I'm going to start over the head, and I'm going to get a soft edge over here, probably without doing anything. Okay, so we're working very liberally, and you got to keep it juicy because you got to keep a water or paint bead going in these places to keep the leading edge moist. You're working on dry paper. And you will notice from your photo that he is up very, very high, and so there's a lot of just bare sky. I could have tinted this to make it just a little bit more the color of the photo if I'd wanted to. I didn't bother. And as we come down, there are some little clouds. I'm going to let you just refer to your photo. I can't really keep mine in the frame where you can see. So I'm going to take my flat brush and I'm going to work some side-to-side shapes. Kind of like that. Let's keep this part right down here really wet. Maybe I'll add a little water to it even. And now that doesn't look like clouds. So what I've got is I've got my brush washed out with a little bit of the water pulled out of it. Let's see what that does. I'm going to go back in. No, I think I'll use more water. I'm going to go back in on top of the dry areas with water. That gets me a start here on having some kind of cloud shapes. Let's keep this wet here. And maybe I'll pull up. It's kind of a dancing act. You got to be in several places at once. I can make these more pronounced later in another layer. I'm maybe not quite through with that yet anyway. But let's come down here and we have, what do you call those clouds? Anyway, they're the fluffy kind. I'm just sort of making the shapes up. Okay. Just let that, I'm soaking up a little bit of the drip. Let's leave that right like it is for a minute. And I'm going to come down here and I'm just going to put a first layer of paint on these mountains that are down here. You know, I'm not a landscape person, but I'm trying just for you all. I'm willing to make sacrifices. Okay, so here we go. Let's pull that over because I don't want to bounce this thing around and move the drip where I don't want it into my pristine snow area below. Okay, so now let's add some water. In fact, I think I'll turn this thing over. Let's add a little water before this really dries, but I wanted it to set just a little bit because if I added water right away, my whole cloud would just go away. Okay, dab, dab, dab here. Yeah, I've used that word dab, the forbidden dab word. Oh, I may have let this set too long. Well, what will I do? You know, I don't know what I'll do. Live with it, I guess. Let's take a dry paper towel. That's not going to work. Okay, I'm going to try to get some runbacks. The thing that I didn't mention about cerulean is that it has a habit of grabbing into the paper at a certain point. And that's what it's done here. Okay, but I'm going to add little bits of extra water. You see, I went to a smaller brush. By the way, if when you dab with a paper towel you press down too hard, you can get little dark marks instead of light marks. Go figure. Is that just Viva? Is it hand lotion coming through the fibers? I don't know, but I've done it before. I've not bothered to experiment so that I have an answer for you. Huh. So, could those be upside down clouds? Now, if I had used a more inky mixture, I would have gotten a totally different effect. I think I don't like that shape. I think I'll put a little more color on top of that and get semi-rid of it. Let's just mute it a little bit there. Okay, I'm actually okay with that. Now I want to, see I've got a couple of white spots down here. I don't want those to be totally pristine white there. They'll stand out in a bad way. Okay, I'm all right with that. It's pretty soft. It actually looks a little stronger on the video than it does in real life. Okay, let's go to this side. Well, we have got this little area between his legs here. And I'm just going to make it smooth. I'm not going to worry with cloud shapes. Actually, there's not really any in the picture anyway. And this little area up here, and as we come down, we're running into a little bit of a cloud something. Just let that set a minute. So, you know what, I'm going to be patient because if I start over here and then try to come back over here, I may hit disaster. So, let's turn this upside down. I did that sooner this time, didn't I? Now, I need this color to more or less match that color, which should be matching this, but it doesn't quite make it. Well, let's just put a little of that over here. And I'm picking it up to look for moisture. This is still pretty wet. There's a way to edit a little bit of time out of the video, but I don't remember how to do it. The kids taught me, and now the kids are gone. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start over here. So into that spot that was wet, it's probably pretty dry by now. Your top will dry faster because the liquid is migrating downward some instead of just straight down into the paper. It's going towards the bottom of the page too. So let's see there. So my challenge is just to blend it in a little bit. Oh, there's a big cloud over here, big fluffy cloud. I forgot about that sucker. Well, we have to make that one happen, don't we? Switch to the little brush, and he looks like a great explorer, doesn't he? I think I'll turn it this way. You know, turn it any way that works for you, and you can use gravity to make it do things. So if I want the water to flow back towards the top, I'll just turn it over. Now right here, I'd like a pretty white area. I don't know if I'm going to get it with this. I may get a different look. And you're welcome to do clouds any way you want to. I do not claim to be a cloud expert. Oh, look at that. See where I started out and I paused a minute and the cerulean made a line there. So I can mostly just talk to it, maybe put a little extra color in, get it to cooperate a little bit. I think that I'm going to try a little more blotting. But like I said, if you press too hard, you'll get dark spots instead of light spots. That looks very cloud-like because it's got soft edges on it. You know, a little bit of time playing with this. So this can actually be kind of a playful, meditative process, making clouds. Now what do I want to do? I want a bottom to this cloud that is, in this photo, it comes along right about there. So I'll imitate what it does in the photo. And then it comes down here. There's a little bit more of that other kind of cloud. Well, it's not a different kind of cloud. It's just a different spot. All right. That's a really bad shape there. That'll never translate as a cloud, so I better get rid of that immediately. And then right here, let's see what we can do with this. Okay. Maybe I'll get a little backflow there. I actually kept a little bit of pure white area in that one, which is probably a bad thing because I don't have any other pure whites. So I think I'll undo the pure white. Okay, now I'm watching this. And I'm watching this spot down here. I'm watching this till it loses its sheen, at least. And I'm adding a little water here. You know, it's pretty clean water. Almost clean. It's probably too late to move that. Okay. Just keep an eye on it. Because cerulean is harder to move, so in that respect it makes it easier to work with. At the same time, it does at some point do this grab thing into the paper. You'll notice that with some of your minerals particularly. I may get a little bit of run back there, and I'll keep it. Okay, that was step 1 on clouds. I think we're going to have 2 steps on this cloud business. See, I don't really know how I'm making this work, how I'm going to make it work. I'm going to change some things up a little bit, I think. Okay, I have decided to strengthen my clouds, and this side is dry. I've got a magic sponge, and I'm using the corner of it side to side like this, and even this way. And cerulean being a non-staining color, it's still not coming up all that easily, and that's because of that grabbing quality and the fact that I worked with the cerulean very, very wet, and so that gave it more chance to set down in the paper. But now I've lightened the cloud, the side-to-side clouds, just a little bit. So let's see if I can make some circular motions. Maybe use the corner of this. Make some circular motions down here in the other clouds, whatever. You got to blot right away, and you got to work really wet, and you're probably still not going to pull up much. Might have to get really apply. You can hear it, no doubt. Really hear it. Better get this coming in behind the legs, so I'm going to have to kill my line off there. Well, it doesn't have very cloud-like edges, does it? And there's a place right here that's just flat ugly. I think I'm stuck with it, more or less. Oh, maybe not. All right, we'll leave it like that. There we go. Now that I'm going to talk a little bit about the drawing, which should have been in the first part, of course. So I did the same technique that I did with the little boys, the 2 almost cowboys. You know, you make a mark and you lift like that as you're tracing to try and get a little bit looser, sketchier look here. So I want you to look at my drawing that I sent you. I want you to look real closely at the mouth. This one's been traced over. But I want you to look at the way I handled the mouth in the tracing. I don't have a line all the way through the mouth. I didn't make a whole mouth. I made the silhouette and then a little dark corner to the mouth back here. And there's virtually nothing in between. and yet it reads as a mouth, and it reads as a much better looking mouth than if you try to make a whole mouth line. So I would say, you know, if you get that right on the tracing, it'll look a lot better. If you've already done it, oh, you're stuck with it. Sorry. So I have not gone to the hairdryer, so I want another place to work on the painting. This sky could, I'm going to have to do some help to that later. I'm not satisfied. So here are the shoes. So let's take some, what do you call it? Burnt umber, duh. Let's take some burnt umber and, a little of something else. You know, since I've got cerulean here, let's just pick up a little cerulean. That'll do. Yeah, I'm satisfied with that. So the first thing would be, oh, no, I'm not satisfied with that. I don't like that color. Well, yeah, maybe a little more brown in it. Here we go. Remember, this silhouette on these things is largely what defines them. And then the foot just goes off the page. So what I'm doing is a lighter value. Nearly everything I do on this will be a lighter value of a color, and then a darker one, a shadow colored value, because, you know, especially some colors, you have to change the color a lot. So we're just getting that into place. And those socks are definitely in shadow. I'm going to use cerulean and put a bit of burnt umber into it. Let's see what that does. Oh, yeah. Here we go. That's the color. Man, that looks good. Got some in my cloud. Oh, that's not. That's a mountain. I can hide that. You know, if a little of this runs together, I'll make it look like it just happened accidentally. Whoop. Okay, I have to fill the whole thing out because otherwise I was going to have a big background there. Although, what would have been wrong, like over here? What would have been wrong with the background? Nothing. Okay, you know, we've got some of that shadow color stuff right here on the snow. I'm picking up cerulean and maybe just a touch of that brown. Well, some of that brown from here is going to bleed into the shadow. And make sure your shadow shapes look like shadow shapes. Let those run together. Here's a little bit of shadow from this, whatever you call it, mountain climbing gear. I'll call it mountain climbing gear. There, can't go wrong doing that. Okay, it's got a pretty strong shadow in the picture. Up here, what have we got? We've got some more of that gray greeny color. It's almost like what's in the socks, except it's a lot darker. Well, so far I'm getting by with cerulean and burnt umber. That's more of a gray. I think if I add the tiniest, because those are like khaki, you know, that greeny khaki look. Let's just add, I've got that. It's mostly burnt umber with a little cerulean in it. I think I just need maybe a touch of a yellow. I wonder what would happen. See, I don't know. I just take chances with these things. How about a little Quinn Gold? Oh, well, that's too much. That looks... Okay, let's put a little more cerulean in it. Oh, that'll do. Yeah, you know, I mean, I'm looking at it, and I'm not saying is that an exact match, but actually, I'll put a little more over here. It's getting pretty close. Oh, there is a... Okay, this is his pants leg actually comes over here, and there was a little tag thing hanging down that I didn't get in the drawing. So I'm moving his pants leg over. That makes more sense. And again, I'm just painting the lighter value. Is this going to run into the socks? Leggings, probably, we should call them. Yeah, it is. Could say oops or not oops. Yeah, it's running together there too. This is going to work out just fine. So don't worry about this little spot here because we're going to add a lot more color and that'll hide. You see where I kept adding water in and adding water in, and I've got actually an outline on the shoes some. Yeah, it's no big deal at this point, but I'll let you know that that's something that a lot of the time you don't want to have happen. See, because I don't always come out right either. Most of the time y'all think it was okay, when maybe it wasn't what I wanted at all. Okay, I'm good with that. Now let's come up here. You know, these little thingies on that he's carried, he's got little, I don't know, canteen and a box of something, I don't know, Snickers bars or something. So maybe, and that one's reddish, maybe I'll just take some burnt umber again. Put a little burnt umber over here. Maybe I'll just throw a little red in with it. Any red. Here, I got some, what do you call this stuff? Queen Rose. I'll get stuck for words. And I'll just put more burnt umber in. Rose is so much stronger than burnt umber, but burnt umber is opaque, and so sometimes it will carry the day in spite of itself. It's got some kind of little trim on the thing. I'll just make that wider here. So there's like his little box thingy. And this other thing over here is almost the same. You know, I think I'll just make it the same. I'm lazy. So you can see how we get a little white line working with this flat brush. It's great for making lines. I'll just turn this upside down so I can see. I'll start right there. That makes his little edge on that thing. Hey, pretty good. That one's a little lighter. You know, not a bad look. Not a bad look at all. Okay, let's add in some shadows to these. I have my pants mixture that I added quite a bit of indigo to and a little bit of Quin Gold. Okay, and I've got a smaller brush here. Let's see, so let's just look at the shapes in the pants leg. You got a really strong cast shadow right here. Here we got a shadow, and kind of moving my brush this way because that's the way the wrinkles are growing, the way the wrinkles are flowing, the way the wrinkles are. So, and then here's the front part of the pants, which tips down and overlaps the shin here. So you see that because the foot is stepped back. So you kind of want to get that. He's actually got a little shadow cast over here from his gear. Just a little shadow right there. Now let's go back and let's just break up a spot or two on here. There. Maybe there. That's enough right there. Oh yeah, see that? I like that. This water's flowing in here a little bit. I'm just giving it a little bit of a talking to. Probably should have just left it alone, but that's okay. All right, here we go. Some more of the same stuff. This leg is nearly all in shadow. So he's got, again, the pull of the fabric is in that same direction. Here's a little curve down here you could put in if you wanted. You know, you don't need to get all this just right. But there's that. Let's break that up. And out here. And then down here, this part is really bunched up in shadow like that. Let that drip collect down here. So, same thing, you know, if this sets just a hair, so it sets in the paper just a bit before I come in and add a little water. Because this is a small area and I don't want to totally lose that edge. I just wanted squeezing out and pulling up some more. I just soften that edge. Add a little water there, soften that edge, and go away. And leave it. Oh yeah, those look good. Okay, so we're going to leave the leggings alone. They are going to get a little bit of shadow, but that's wet. And now I want to step down here and do more with the shoes. So for the shoes, let's just take a lot of burn umber. I said a lot. The shoes are little. You don't need a lot. And let's just add a dab of indigo into that, which is what I usually combine with oops, I can't get any up. Hold on. Which is what I usually combine with burn umber anyway to make more of a raw umber, which would be perfect here. In fact, this one is totally in shadow till you get down here a ways. And see, the bottom of this cuts off here. I mean, I've got more, his foot's not really that long. So this is all in shadow. And this sort of defines the shape of the foot. That curve. See, that curve tells you that's the top of the toe area. You know, there's something coming out here. You know, you can add on some of these interesting little shapes if you want. Shoes have more of a gold colored look to them than what I've got in here. Okay, we'll stop there. He's got a little bit brighter, sunnier, more yellow color to his shoes than what I've got, but I'm okay with it. Alrighty, it's stopping time. That's part one of, oh, what should we call him? Mountain Man. Almost Mountain Man.